to your skin. That upward and outward motion also pushes a special defensive energy right to your body's surface. Think of it like a sci-fi force field. Your lungs literally power an invisible shield just beneath your skin. This shield is your absolute first line of defense, working around the clock to block outside invaders, like cold winter winds or seasonal bugs, from getting inside your system. Basically, when your lungs are strong, your force field is strong. Now, here's a
I worked as a banker for 30 years, but now I work as an acupuncturist.
Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to completely flip the script on how you think about a very familiar part of your body. Look, we all know our lungs pull in air to keep us alive, right? We breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. It's biological basics. But what if they're doing so much more than just inflating and deflating like a pair of balloons inside your chest? What if they're actually running an incredibly complex system entirely behind the scenes? So, what if your lungs did much more than just breathe air? Today, we're exploring a seriously fascinating perspective from traditional Eastern medicine. This ancient system gives the lungs some surprising hidden powers that actually control everything from your immune system to your daily emotions. I mean, these are things we definitely never learned in high school science class. It's a completely different way of looking at human biology, and honestly, it is incredibly eye-opening once you get how it works. In the West, we usually see the lungs simply as passive airbags exchanging oxygen. It's a very mechanical view. But the traditional Eastern view, it sees the lungs as a master controller for your entire system. They aren't just sitting there waiting for air. They're highly active directors. They're constantly pushing water and vital energy to every single corner of your body, literally from the top of your head right down to your toes. To really understand this, we first need to define a key word, qi, or energy. In this traditional system, qi is the invisible life force that keeps our bodies active, warm, and protected. It's the essential fuel that makes everything run. Think of your lungs like a master traffic cop. They stand right there in the center of your chest, blowing the whistle, directing the flow, and keeping all this essential energy moving smoothly to wherever your body happens to need it most at any given second.
Okay, let's look at exactly how they move this energy. Section 1. The two big movements.
The lungs are actually in a state of constant, perfectly balanced motion in two completely opposite directions. It's all about maintaining equilibrium. First, there's the up and out movement. This action pushes energy and fluids outward to your skin and actively releases dirty air. Then, working in total harmony with that, is the down and in movement. This pulls fresh, clean air deep inside you and actively washes vital fluids downward through your system. It's this beautiful, continuous rhythm, kind of like the tides of the ocean, pulling in and washing out. Moving right along, this brings us to a concept that will completely change how you think about hydration. Section 2, the body's water pump. We almost always think of the kidneys when we think of water and hydration, right? Well, actually, your lungs act as the body's master water pump. First, they gather water from the rest of your body, pooling those resources. Then, through that up and out motion we just talked about, they send a fine mist of moisture out to your skin to become sweat, keeping your surface cool. Finally, using the down and in motion, they flush the remaining water all the way down to the kidneys to safely leave the body. They are literally keeping your internal plumbing perfectly balanced, so you never dry out, but you also never flood.
But it's not just water going to your skin. That upward and outward motion also pushes a special defensive energy right to your body's surface. Think of it like a sci-fi force field. Your lungs literally power an invisible shield just beneath your skin. This shield is your absolute first line of defense, working around the clock to block outside invaders, like cold winter winds or seasonal bugs, from getting inside your system. Basically, when your lungs are strong, your force field is strong.
Now, here's a quick, fascinating bonus fact for you. The lungs don't do all this heavy lifting alone. They're actually in a vital, lifelong partnership with your heart. The lungs are in charge of moving the invisible energy, while the heart takes care of pumping the physical blood. They team up to ensure everything circulates together in perfect harmony. In fact, they rely on each other so heavily that if your lungs stop moving the energy, your blood circulation will actually begin to slow down. The energy from the lungs literally helps push the blood along. But what happens when this beautiful balancing act breaks? Section 3, when things break down. There are two main ways this complex system can fail. If that upward and outward motion becomes weak, your invisible force field drops. Because the energy isn't reaching the surface, you might stop sweating properly, and you're going to find yourself catching colds incredibly easily because your primary defenses are totally down. On the flip side, if the downward and inward motion fails, dirty air gets trapped inside. You can't pull that fresh air in deeply enough, which leads to chest tightness, a stubborn cough, and wheezing. The flow is basically jammed. And because the lungs control both the body's water pump and the airways, the signs of weak lungs aren't just the typical chest coughs you'd expect. The symptoms are actually really surprising. We see things like swelling or trapped water in the legs entirely because the body's master water pump is broken. We see a total loss of body temperature control because the sweating mechanism is off kilter. And this is wild. Look at that top one on the list, chronic nose problems. I want to highlight this because it is just so fascinating. A stuffy nose isn't just an isolated problem happening up in your head. In this medical tradition, the nose is viewed as the front door to your lungs. It's the direct pathway. So a common sniffle, a stubbornly runny nose, or endless bouts of sneezing can be traced straight back to your lungs losing their rhythm. To truly clear the nose and stop the sneezing, you actually have to fix the root cause all the way down in the lungs. Which brings us to our final hidden power, and we're looking at something deeply human and incredibly relatable. Section 4, Emotion and the Lungs. This is one of the most powerful insights we can take away today. The source material explicitly states that strong sadness or unresolved grief actually physically weakens the lungs. Your emotional state is not just a mental phenomenon happening entirely in your brain, it is having a direct, tangible, physical impact right inside your chest. When you carry heavy sorrow, your lungs literally bear that physical weight. Let's just think about this for a second. Have you ever noticed how your breathing completely changes when you're deeply sad? Think about the heavy, stuttering, shallow breaths we take when we grieve. Or think about those deep, heavy sighs when we feel down or overwhelmed. When you look at it that way, this ancient medical connection makes perfect, logical sense, doesn't it? The emotion instantly and visibly alters how the organ itself functions. This shows us that the mind and the body are completely connected. You simply cannot separate them into two different boxes. In this tradition, healing a stubborn, lingering cough or rebuilding a weak immune system might actually require you to process a deep emotional sorrow first. You have to heal the grief to heal the breathing. It's a radically different, yet incredibly beautiful and compassionate way to look at our overall health. So, knowing that they control your vital energy, pump your body's water, power your immune shield, and even physically process your grief, how will you take care of your lungs today? I really hope this explainer leaves you with a newfound respect for this absolutely incredible organ. Before you move on to your next task, take just a moment to sit back, relax, and take one very deep, mindful breath. Thanks so much for joining me.
I worked as a banker for 30 years, but now I work as an